Hey guys, what's up? Nothing too extreme, not even going to break out the lights for this one. I'm literally just going to go over the shelf and we're going to talk about each area, where it is currently, so that we could start adding stuff to the shelf again, because those videos kind of fell off when I had to move a bunch of material that came up to the room and actually went on the shelf and we never had a chance to talk about it. So let's talk about each shelf and what the idea is behind each shelf and what kind of stuff is on each shelf. That's today's video. Okay, so starting at the very bottom, very simple, this is where the books are going to go. All the different books that I've read, that I like, that I'm keeping, that I have a reason to hold on to, the graphic novels, and the goal is that by the time everything's said and done, we cover the entire bottom of the wall in graphic novels. I think it'll look really good, especially once the lights are put up. That's the bottom shelf. Very simple, nothing too extreme here, and of course, yes, some of this material still has to be moved because it's technically in my way, but we're not dealing with that yet. Right now, we are still building things into position, and yeah. So the next shelf up is Star Wars. So this is where all the Star Wars collection is going to go. This is where things like my TIE Fighter, my X-Wing, two of my biggest pieces in terms of that collection, and then all the different figures as I bring them up and put them in here because I have a bunch of smaller figures that haven't been added yet. These are the ones that already exist on this shelf. Going across from that shelf is where you'll find the Power Rangers collection, mostly the original stuff, the stuff that I grew up with, the stuff that I'm really interested in displaying, as well as an oddity. Spider-Gwen is here. This is a statue that I'm not exactly attached to. She's a good piece, but all in all, I think that really she's going to be sold. However, before I can sell her, I have to put her somewhere for right now, and this is the biggest shelf, and it's where she happens to fit. So she's on this shelf, but I don't think she's actually staying there. The next shelf up, we are talking video games. These are video game things. Everything from the statues that I've been able to collect to the little trinkets to small little things like a Mega Man E-Tank energy drink can that I've held on to over time. That is specifically what this shelf is, and it's going to house all the video game merchandise that I collect, that I find, that I bring up here, because yes, we are still unpacking things even now. These shelves are far from done. Going across from there, we run into the Wonder Woman shelf. The Wonder Woman shelf we've already discussed at length, and I've already shown basically everything that's on this shelf. There really shouldn't be anything here that we already haven't discussed. If there is, I'm not sure how that slipped by us, but that is what this shelf is, and that is what it's going to be all the way across the shelf. I'm leaving this shelf completely open to nothing but Wonder Woman because I know it's one of those things that I'm going to continue to expand in. Above the video game shelf, we get a little bit complicated. This is some random stuff. Okay? We're looking at Bruce Lee. We're looking at Jack the Pumpkin King. We're looking at Snake Eyes. And then across from them, on the other part of that shelf, are the Star Trek items. Now, I've debated clearing this shelf completely for Star Trek items and actually bringing the ships up, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do that, because once you start putting ships on the shelf, ships take up a lot of space, and that's a lot of shelf space that then I cannot utilize for other things. I don't know yet, and maybe it's up to a bit of a vote. If people really want to see the ships in the room, then maybe I'll go out of my way to make sure the ships are here. But I think that if I added the ships to the shelf, they'll literally take the entire shelf. And then maybe that's good because I could put a lot of the characters under the ship and then kind of line them up to their decades. But that won't work either because I have things like the NX-01 and things of that nature like the Enterprise B, it's just not going to work. It complicates the situation in a way that I'm not exactly ready for. So I don't know if the ships are coming up here, but Star Trek is on this shelf. Across from there, we move into the Gundam shelf, and that is what this entire thing is going to be. I'm getting back into it. I am buying Gunpla, and I am slowly but surely starting to put myself back into the building attitude to build Gunpla. I'm going out of my way to actually start looking for some of these. I found a shop that has them that I'm going to start driving to every now and then so I can pick out a couple things. And I'm not opposed, finally, I'm getting over a lot of my internet stuff. I'm not opposed to actually buying these things online and having them shipped to me now. In fact, that's where a couple of these have come from, is that I'm finally over that idea that I'm an old school buyer. I like to see the item, hold the item, examine the item, and know what I'm buying when I buy it. And sometimes a picture just simply doesn't do it justice. Well, I pretty much know what Gunpla is, and I'm pretty much well experienced in what Gunpla is. I've been building Gunpla since I was around 14 years old. I built up a whole gigantic bookshelf of Gunpla and lost all of it because of being a kid and then having a girlfriend situation that backfired horrifically. I am currently rebuilding, and that is why this shelf is going to be nothing but Gunpla all the way across. And Gundam toys and things like that. Gundam shelf. Gundam. On top of the Star Trek and random stuff, we have anime. Anime is a weird thing with me because I either love anime or detest anime at any random time, and it's hard to know exactly how I feel at what time that I feel that way. Sometimes I'm absolutely enthralled with anime, I love it, and I want to watch anime. And then other times, I'm tired of the fact that so many animes are run-on animes, and I never seem to be able to finish them, and I feel like I'm overwhelmed and buried in it. And quite frankly, when you get to that point, and the rest of the world kind of moves on without you, because look, that's part of getting older, guys. There comes a point in time where these are things that I liked and I loved and I was really big into it, and I still have a place for it and I'm still a big fan of it. But let's be honest, I can't sit down and spend all of my time watching anime, or I can't finish other things that I want to do, be it this YouTube channel or a million other things. So the anime that I see that I really like keeps me a fan of it, but I'm not expansive enough to really go to the anime cons and not feel awkward. There's a lot of people there, pretty much everybody there is younger than me anymore nowadays, and a lot of the cosplayers and everything, half of them I don't know who they are because it's just not my era and I don't keep up with anime the way I do. That makes me feel like an outcast, and that makes it difficult to stick in anime. But this shelf does have a decent little collection of things that I've picked up that I can relate to and that I have enjoyed in terms of anime. Mostly, you'll notice that this is a Dragon Ball Z shelf. That is true. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are pretty much the biggest animes of my life. They're the entire reason that I pretty much watch anime. And of course, Gundam doesn't make it onto this shelf because it has its own shelf, but that is an anime. Anime shelf. Across from the anime shelf, we find the Marvel collection. These are the Marvel toys, and you'll notice that right now, the only thing that we have discussed, the only thing that's really gone up on the Marvel shelf, are the X-Men figures. I have a lot of X-Men figures because for a long time they were my favorite thing in Marvel. And not that I don't like them anymore, but let's be honest, I've moved on to a point where I simply have trouble keeping up with the way the X-Men comics run, and it feels very convoluted, and it just feels too messy compared to where I felt it was back when I was a kid. And even then, when I'm looking back at it and I'm being honest with myself, it was kind of messy. I think the best era of X-Men, when it was most put together and had the most storyline continuity that made sense, that was taken care of, that wasn't jumping hoops and doing alternate dimensions and pocket dimensions and crazy stuff, and these guys are from the past and these guys are from the future and these are alternate reality things and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da and clones and everything else. Chris Claremont. When he was running everything, he was able to keep it constructed kind of like a manga, where he was able to drop certain ideas and then follow up with them and then build continuity and watch the continuity in real time. If Wolverine was over here, he wasn't going to be over here. And now comic books have gotten very crazy about how they handle their characters, where the Avengers are doing something one week at the same time that Captain America is exiled from the country for some reason, but he's still in the Avengers book, so where does this fall in the timeline? Yes, comic books are ridiculous, and you have to look past that if you're going to get into them, because they are a level of ridiculous. However, the Marvel shelf currently only has X-Men, but this is the Marvel shelf. There will be more Marvel added to it. Above that is the Pokemon shelf, and it is pretty much out of space. But that's not that big of a deal, because a couple of things that are up here, most everything that's up here is stuff that I care about. And if I have to move some things around or crunch some things in there, I'll figure it out. I'll remove something, add something, yada yada. The only things that I'm really going to add in terms of Pokemon are things that I really, really like and really, really catch my attention. Say I could actually get a statue of Red. That would be cool. Say I could get a Cyndaquil. I love Cyndaquil. He's my all-time favorite Pokemon. I love Cyndaquil. I love Quilava. And I love Typhlosion. Those are the three favorite Pokemon that I have. So if I could find them and add them to this shelf, you better believe I'll find a way to make space. But so far, this is what the Pokemon shelf looks like. And I believe we've already discussed everything that's gone up here. I think. Okay, so across from there, we are looking at the DC shelf. This is DC and alternate comic books. So that's what this shelf is going to be. It's going to be a lot of Batman, Superman, things of that nature. And then if I find other things that I happen to come across, like say if I come across a Witchblade statue or something like that, that is where it's going to go. This is where I think I'm going to make this shelf, because it's practically empty right now, but there are things to add to it. Plus, I had to debate if things like Ninja Turtles and whatnot were going to stack alongside the Marvel, or if they were going to stack alongside the DC. Truth be told, it might be both when everything's said and done, but so far, my game plan is that this is the DC and alternate comic book shelf. And then the entire top of these shelves, the two top shelves, Gunpla. Not actually Gunpla in terms of these are made and ready to be displayed. This is what I have to work on. This is any Gunpla that is ready to be built, and then once it's built, the empty box is transferred over to the other side of the shelf and is then used as boxes or reference material. If this shelf packs up too much and there are too many boxes, we will then cut the front of those boxes off and keep a type of trapper system that allows me to flip through and know whatever I have in some kind of order. It's a lot like I keep a type of Ultimate magazine, and maybe someday we'll talk about that, because that is actually a really cool thing that I think I'm one of the... I don't know many people that do what I do in terms of the Ultimate magazine, but yeah, I might end up doing that alongside with the Gunpla, because you can't stack boxes forever, and I know that these are going to start coming in at a higher rate than they used to. And that's it! That's all I have right now. That's all there is. I don't have anything else to say, anything else to do right now. That is the entirety of the shelf. That is what we've put together. That is what it looks like. That's what it's at. That is its current state. And we will move from there and start adding things to the shelf. This will give me a chance to open those episodes back up and be like, this is what we're adding to the shelf. This is what I like. This is a thing. These are toys, yada, yada. So things are going to start going back on the shelf, but I wanted to catch us up and make sure that we were right where we needed to be before I started adding things like my Spider-Gwen collection and some of the other Star Wars stuff that's definitely coming into the room very soon. And that's it. I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.